706. Putting the spotlight on local businesses in the capital city. This is 402 Business Insider with Travis Filing and Gary Tharnish on 1499.3 KLIN.
And good morning, Lincoln. It's Travis Filing and Gary Tharnish. You are listening to the 402 Business Insider. How you doing today, Gary?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing good. I'm looking forward to this weather coming.
Yeah, me too. I hung some Sentry Lock boxes today, so listings coming up. It's been a good day so far.
Oh, man. So now are we getting a little preview of what's coming up for sale here today? Or?
No, not necessarily. Just go to my webpage.
Oh, there you go. Well, have our guest today is actually Vern Sorensen, who is one of our sponsors, Home Design Real Estate Group, and you're a managing partner. Is it managing partner? Broker. Okay. What exactly is a managing broker?
I'm in charge of the office. I'm responsible for the activities of the agents.
Okay.
I supervise the staff at the office.
So that's where all the gray hair comes from.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's right.
I understand. And how long have you been doing that?
I've been a broker for 5 years with home real estate. But I've been in sales in Lincoln for 25 years.
Doing just mostly residential? Is it commercial?
Correct. Mostly residential in and around Lincoln.
Yeah. Fantastic. And Lincoln has changed a lot in those years. That's for sure.
It is always changing. Exactly.
Yeah. Do you still do sales though, or do you just manage? Occasionally.
But most of my effort is in management. But yes, I can still list and sell properties, but it's a lot of night and weekend work to do that, and I'm not always up for that after a full day in the office.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah. That's the thing I always with being in real estate. Your hours are not normal business hours because everyone's at work.
No.
And then we're going to go out at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock.
Yeah. My schedule, generally speaking, I like to office in the morning. I do it from home or go into work, mostly into work. But usually by about 1:15, I can take a little bit of time off. Now that spring's coming up, I'll take a little bit of time off. And then by 3:34, people want to see houses. So you kind of have that little period of time where it can work. At first, I would just take any appointment I could get whenever. Now it's, if I want to go see my daughter in some activity or something, I have an appointment and we reschedule around that. But usually, man, if we've got a client, we'll just jump at meeting them whenever and wherever they need it.
Yeah.
It's the life. Yeah, so Vern's my managing broker. So basically, he's responsible for everything I do in real estate. So, wow, that's got to be tough.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in that. We bring new agents in, we train them, and get them started in the business. We have a lot of veteran agents who we give advice to, work through complicated situations. A lot of problem solving with that too.
So how many agents do you have?
We have 150 agents in home real estate.
At all of home real estate? Because is Home Design a separate...
Home Design Real Estate Group is a team that I'm on.
Okay.
So all four of us on the team work at Home Real Estate. So our licensor is at Home Real Estate, but we have a team. Our team leader is Amy Burkholz.
Okay.
And so she's responsible, too, for everything we do on the team. And then, of course, Vern and Leon, our two managing brokers, our go-to people for. And there's no two real estate transactions that are the same.
No.
Like, hello.
Yeah.
No one explained that in classes. I was like, okay.
Yeah, there is no cookie cutter approach to this.
No. Humans are messy. I didn't know if you knew that.
Oh,
you're a young
very
guy.
aware. Very aware.
You're aware. Okay.
Thanks for saying I'm young, because I'm nowhere close to
You're
young,
welcome.
but...
Shannon sends me a check every month.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So now, real estate, I love talking real estate because I own real estate. And real estate is one of those things that most people, you only buy one. You may move on occasion. Are we seeing people start to move more often or move less often?
Over the past... move less often. Again, nationwide. We have some nationwide statistics from last year that typically folks were in their house for 10 years. Historically, over the last 2 decades, that number's been 6 or 7 years. So over the last couple of years, people have tended to stay in their house longer.
See, because I look at it, because my wife and I are now, we're almost empty nesters. My son is 21. He's just finishing up his school program, and he'll be off on his own. And so now we're in this, it's a little over 3,000 square feet, and it's just the two of us. And it's like, I don't need all this house. But at the same time, if I sell this house, it's a lateral move, because whatever I could get out of it, I'm going to get a smaller house, probably for about the same amount of money. So it just, you look at everything that's going on in real estate right now, and you think, man, people have to be staying put.
Well, and that's, the beauty of this business is it's not about houses, it's about people.
Yeah.
This is where you live in, and everyone goes through life events all throughout their life: birth and death, marriage, divorce, job change. All of those things are bringing people into the housing market, and that affects where you live as well. So it's not uncommon that you're making these decisions with a life event change too.
Yeah.
And what was the statistic you had a while back at one of our meetings of the amount of equity that people have in their homes now? Is like the most it's ever been.
It is, and it's well, the specific number we were looking at, and again, this is a nationwide statistic, but the number of homeowners who own their house free and clear throughout the United States is about 37%.
Wow.
That's huge.
That's bigger than I thought it would be.
That's right. And then we were also talking about, the extremely low interest rates, 3 and 4% interest rates that folks have gotten over the last several years that are holding them in their house. We call it an interest rate lock.
Oh, you bet.
You don't want to make that jump because you got a great rate now. That number nationwide is about 15% that have an under 4% interest rate.
That's it?
Correct.
Where were all these people at when those rates dropped?
Sure, probably a lot of reasons. Maybe their debt-to-income ratio was too high. There could be so many reasons why they couldn't refinance. But back to your earlier point, I'll run into that I have a meeting this week with a seasoned couple, and they're ready to probably go into assisted living, knowing his health, and, they've owned their home free and clear for a long time. But now they're looking at going into, think of rent in assisted living. It's higher than any payment they've had in their entire life. So that's challenging. But even like my season of life, where my friends all their kids are moving out and they're like, I don't need a 5-bedroom house. I'm going to move into something smaller. They are pretty shocked at going, like I think of one of my friends been in his house for 27 years and they own it outright, but they raised all their kids there and they're getting ready to move. And they're like, wow, we don't get a lot for our money compared to 27. Of course you don't, milk is a lot more expensive also, but that's a big thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I look, because like we got in, we did a 15-year refi about 5 years ago. We're in like 2.25.
Right.
It's like, I ain't going anywhere at 2.25, man. I'm good.
Although it's all those life changes, people are constantly moving. I also think people have settled into the interest rates. I'm really seeing that. People that were a year ago or a year and a half ago, people were going, well, I'm going to wait, till the interest rates come down. So they lose all that appreciation while they're waiting.
Yeah.
If they're first-time home buyers, they're renting. So now they're paying somebody else's mortgage, not making any, any money on that. So it's, I guess, the good time to always buy or sell is now.
Yeah. Well, and I tell people all the time, and I own rentals. I don't want to say the worst thing you could do is rent a property, but if you can get into a house, start saving. There's nothing wrong with renting. I did it. You guys did it, I'm sure. But you need to start getting a plan together and start preparing to buy a house. Even if you're only going to be in Lincoln for 5 years and you're planning on moving to wherever for whatever, it still makes sense to buy a piece of property, because if you can afford it, start saving your money, start tucking it away. Even though I hear people complain about the interest rates right now all the time, because they're, what are they, 7% right now?
6.5, 7.
Yeah,
range.
That's not bad.
Yeah,
that is not bad.
No, I've said before on the radio station, a radio show, I'll say it again. My first interest rate was 17.275 in 1981, and it was joyful because it just come down from like the highest it's ever been, which was 18 something. So I love telling clients that, and they're like, what?
Yeah, that's credit card.
Was it a really small house? I go, well, it was 36,000 at the time. So.
Well, and I wonder how that would equate, because right now we're seeing such a massive increase in the cost of housing. And part of that, of course, it's all supply and demand. But that $36,000 house in 1980, what would that house go for today? It'd probably be a $200,000 house.
Well, it was my grandparents' house,
Okay.
and I know it just recently sold for $198,000.
Okay, well, man, look at that. I got the Karnak hat
There you
on
go.
today.
Yes, you do. Magic question.
I wonder what you just kind of, your brain starts going into this math problem, going, okay, what would $36,000 be value wise today, and would that equate? Because it seems like we bought our house in 2002 and paid $127,000 for it, and today I'm guessing it's going to be in the upper fours to $500,000. That's just over a 24-year span. Man, that seems like something going up 4 times in value. That was a good investment.
Oh, sure. I mean, I have a family bought a home for $205,000 10 years ago and sold it for just over $5. The other thing about that compared to new build is if you're buying a pre-owned home today, square footage wise, you're going to get more house in a home that was built maybe 15, 20 years ago than you will in a brand new construction now. But of course, brand new construction, you're going to have very little maintenance for 7, 10. What's the average on that? 7, 10 years on maintenance on a new build. You have your minor maintenance. Your HVAC and everything isn't going to go out for a while.
Yeah. Very good. Well, we got about 30 seconds to go. I want to mention a couple of our new sponsors who have just jumped on board here. We have Complete Family Dermatology, which is down there on South 14th Street. Was talking to Dr. Jeff Basler, and very interesting guy. We'll have to have him on the show. And, of course, you guys, Home Design Real Estate. So, Home Real Estate, we appreciate you guys. You're listening to the 402 Business Insider, and we will be right back after these messages.
Stories of local success. 402 Business Insider on 1499.3 KLIN.
And we're back on the 402 Business Insider, talking with Vern Sorensen from Home Real Estate Group. And one thing we were talking off the break here was about real estate agents in general. There seems to be so many of them, and there's some great ones, and there's some not so great ones out there. Gary and I, he's starting to get. He's been my real estate agent for quite some time, and Gary has his routine. We buy the ugliest, nastiest, worst houses on the planet, and of course, I always feel bad because Gary shows up now and he's got his gloves and he's got a mask because we're going in to see mold, we're going in to see dilapidated properties, and he's like the boy in the plastic bubble. And of course, it's the most work and the lowest commission rate.
Yeah, I'm going to get a hazmat suit is what I'm going to do. This
Bring
house
that
I'm looking at tomorrow. I mean, the realtor's just warning me. I need a hazmat. Do we have a hazmat suit at work that I could borrow?
We might
should
need
probably
one.
get one.
Yeah, the one we're going to look at tomorrow. Yeah, buddy.
Talking about real estate agents, I don't know the statistics on the number of real estate agents, but I would think it really grew over this 6-7 years when interest rates were so low because it was easier to sell a home, right? I mean, money was everywhere and, great to buy a home. Today, the way the market is today, you really need to work. You need to be client focused. Real estate really is about relationships with people. It has very little to do with the numbers. That's all important, but it's really just the relationship that you have. And that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I mean, you get involved in a divorce situation, right? And then you've got all of that going on. So there's so many things that can happen in people's lives. Relocation, one right now where, the husband's excited about it. The wife is kind of like, this is my dream home. I don't want to go. You have a lot of that. So it's really on how you navigate that. But real estate school, in 2 weeks, you can graduate from real estate school. Then, of course, you have to take the test and pass a federal and a state test. You also have to pass a background check. So not just anybody can be a real estate agent. But what does it look like after that, Vern?
Well, when you say real estate school, it really is the classes you take to get your real estate license. Mm-hmm. That's set by the Nebraska Real Estate Commission. and honestly, statutes define what it takes to get your license and become a real estate agent. That doesn't have anything to do with how you run your business typically.
Correct.
That just you're learning about license law and regulations and fair housing laws, those kinds of things to get licensed. And there's a couple of layers to that as well. That the Real Estate Commission gets you licensed. You're authorized to practice real estate anywhere in the state of Nebraska. That doesn't necessarily mean you know what you're doing.
2 weeks of training, no.
No truer statement has ever been said than
exactly.
that right there.
And it's really up to your brokerage where you hang your license to develop you and help you build some competence in what you're doing. There are the requirements to get your license are more difficult than you would think. The pass rate for the exam is under 50%. I don't know the exact number, but most agents don't pass the exam to get their license. And professionalism in the business is something that we're always conscious of, the perception among the general public, and we work hard as an industry to try to raise that standard. Several years ago, the Real Estate Commission added education requirements to a professional standards class before you get your license and a business practice class within the first 6 months after you get your license. That's an effort to drive to pull up the professionalism in the industry, to make us better agents. Even though your brokerage may not be doing that, it's a requirement of your license that you do learn some of those skills and some of those professionalism.
See, and because that's one of my biggest gripes, because my daughter bought a house a while back out of town, and the real estate agent was a part-timer, just kind of did it on the side, and they missed a lot of check boxes, which it happens, but you look at it and go, well, wait a minute. There's so many people out there. They've never bought a house before, and they don't know what to look for. I'm kind of leaning on you to help guide me through what's a fair offer and how much should I be spending on this and what are some of the things that need to be fixed. I need that experience. So just because your Uncle Skippy, who's a farmer, goes out and you're laughing. You don't have some guy named Skippy that's a farmer, right? That Uncle I just
Skippy.
outed.
No, I just think I love that. Uncle Skippy. Got it. Okay.
Uncle Skippy. There
that conjures up exactly what I need to think here.
I'm like, I got to use a name that nobody has. And when you guys laugh, I'm like, there's some farmer named Skippy that's selling houses out there.
And to your point, there's a lot to education, correct? So when I got my license, for example, I could have hung it anywhere. We say hung it, basically. Right. It's digital now, but once you have your license, you have to hang it at a brokerage, right? And they're responsible for your behavior and what you do professionally. So there were a lot of choices I had. I watched YouTube videos about it and got a really good ideas of interviewing. I kind of knew where I wanted to go because I had a lot of realtor friends just over the 38 years I had my business. And I started looking at it and I thought, when I own my business, I valued education a lot. So I would always help my employees get education, make sure they had education, which really put us a step above a lot of other like-minded businesses.
Right.
It's the same in real estate. One of the reasons I chose home real estate is the education that's offered. It's very important. So it's maybe a little more expensive for me to be at home real estate, if you want to kind of think of it that way, but you get what you pay for. So the education has helped me leaps and bounds at being able to help my clients with everything that you just said, because we have team meetings where we learn weekly. We're on top of changes in the industry, contract changes. It's really important. I remember Leanne, who's the other managing broker at Home Real Estate, looked at me one day and she goes, if you want to know the contract, write out each section, which there's 33. There might be 34 now with changes. And I was like, oh, you are nuts. And then I would be talking to other realtors and then go, and section 18.2, and I'd be like, oh, crap, what's that? What's 18.2? So I actually did that, as bizarre as that might sound, but it made all the difference. So you have to work at your trade, whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah, and making sure, because, again, it's all reputation. It's all, I always laugh the first time that Gary showed us a house. He brings in a marble and sits it on the floor. And, of course, it takes off rolling, gone. It's like, I appreciate that, but there isn't a straight wall in this house. These are the houses that I buy.
Yeah,
so you don't have to do that. But,
right.
if you're out there looking for a house, ask yourself, is your real estate agent making sure these floors are level? Because if they're not, they didn't build it on a 2-degree slope, right? That means it's something is going on with that house, and making sure that you have a professional that's looking out, because you're about to make a massive investment. And of course now, I mean, what's the average house now? It's got to be.
Well, in Lincoln, the average is 357,000,
That sounds right.
somewhere right around there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it has definitely gone up. I love the so people that love older homes, which I love too. The four squares, the older Lincoln homes, and they go, I was really going to need panel and foundation. I'm going to be like, the foundation probably won't be really nice, but this house has stood for 120 years. And then you travel to Europe. And you're like, oh, look at this castle built on cobblestones with littler pebbles in between them, holding them up. And it's like it's been there, 5 centuries.
Oh, that's funny, crazy.
Right? But you do need to be aware of what you're buying.
Yeah.
I want to. The second phase of the professionalism is what you do after you get licensed. Mm-hmm. You to maintain your license, you need to take some continuing education to renew in 2 years. Make use of that continuing education. Take useful classes, increase your professionalism. National Association of Realtors offers designations, those 3 letters after realtors' names. Those do mean something, that they're pursuing a little bit higher form of education and not just taking classes to get renewed. So my advice to the public is spend as much time finding a good real estate agent as you do finding a good house.
Yeah, because I look at it, it's no different than a heart surgeon, right? You want somebody who does this all day, every day, all week long. You don't want somebody who's a farmer and just cuts open a couple of chests on the weekends here and there doing your heart surgery, because this is a pretty big investment here. Correct. And let me tell you, there's so many, I hate flippers. Right? And flippers, they go out and they put lipstick on all these pigs, and if you don't know what you're looking for, you're fixing to buy a nightmare. And a good real estate agent is going to go, okay, well, these baseboards are 3/4 of an inch thick, but they just put 1/2-inch drywall and balanced it on top of this. Yep. And so this is hiding plaster and lath, which could be hiding knob and spool wiring, which could be, and on and on and on.
The word flipping and a house that's flipped has really taken on different meaning than it used to be years ago. So I like to say a house can be flipped. You really want to check it out, right? You look at the backsplash and it doesn't go all the way up to the cupboard. You can't see that when you're standing up there.
Yeah.
But when you bend down, you see it, those types of things. But now we're starting to see terminology like renovated, remodeled. That's what you really want to look for, and know all those details. But you want an agent that's aware of the differences, and
exactly.
going to point those things out.
Exactly. So, all right. Well, we're running out of time here, so we will be right back in a minute. You're listening to the 402 Business Insider, and we're talking with Vern Sorensen.
Building business, one story at a time. 402 Business Insider on 1499.3 KLIN.
And we're back on the 402 Business Insider right here on 1400 KLIN. We were just chatting a little bit about flips and what to look for and what to avoid. And my big thing is making sure you have somebody in there, because most people who are listening right now have no idea what to look for. Kind of like you said, does that backsplash go all the way up to the cabinets?
Right. That's
pretty important to look for, because it tells you where this house has been in the last 6 months. Something I always do is when I go and I look at properties, and like I said, mine, there's no evidence whatsoever that anybody remodeling the houses that I buy means somebody ran a vacuum over the carpet sometime in the last 6 months. But when I look, I try and see if I can find if that house was listed or sold within the last year. And if somebody bought it for $100 and now it's $300, okay, that gives you a little bit of that warning sign, or at least a flag to
something
go,
to look for.
Let's look. Yes.
You know what to look for.
Yeah.
Well, and I would, a little bit bigger picture on the issue of flipping and renovating houses. It's really been good for Lincoln real estate in that it's creating good inventory at a lower price point. It is so darned expensive to build a house in Lincoln now.
Yeah.
Average new construction is well over $400,000, and we have a lot of home buyers who need decent housing at a lower price than that, but may not have the money to renovate it themselves.
Yeah.
So if you get somebody that's buying a really cheap, dilapidated house putting money into it and doing a good job with it and creating some good inventory at a lower price point, in that $200,000 or $300,000 range that folks can afford. It's as long as you're careful about what you're buying and know what you're getting into. I think for this real estate industry in the city, it's been a good thing. Plus, it gets some older neighborhoods that are getting some TLC and desperately need it.
Yeah. See, and when we do things, we have people, as soon as we list something for rent, I get everybody and their brother calls me and go, want to sell? No, I have no desire to sell because there's no money. There's no money to be made when we renovate a house. We take it like the last one we picked up in Elmwood, paid $95,000 for it, and I put almost $100,000 into this place because we took it down to the bones. You never know. Is it insulated? Yeah. What's the wiring? What's the? You just have to redo almost everything.
You do your job well. You have great standards. That's why you get the calls right away because you have a reputation that's very, very good.
Yeah,
and you learn that too. As you're showing, especially I'd say the first time home buyer house is 175 to really maybe 269, 270,000 price range, and you go into a house that's been flipped. There's how was it flipped? What was done? What wasn't done? A lot of times people feel like, oh, it's flipped, so it's going to have a great foundation. No, probably not.
No.
The foundation is what it is a lot of times. What they're flipping is the square footage you're going to be living in and spending every day. So how was that done? And it is needed. It does make a great big difference. FHA loans make a great big difference on these homes too, because the appraiser goes in and says there's safety issues. You need to, fix the porch. You need to fix these things. Those things are all really good for Lincoln. We don't want Lincoln to look like Detroit. I hope I got in trouble for saying that, but I did.
You were going to say Cleveland, weren't you?
No, I almost did, but you grew up there. So I'm going to leave that to you. You put that city under the bus all the time, so we're covered.
So on that topic, because I don't deal with FHA and all these different loan programs, does somebody actually, is it boots on the ground? Do they have a representative that walks into the house and goes, yep, you need to check this, you need to do this? And are they pretty stringent?
An appraisal, FHA has appraisal requirements so that it's not an inspection, but the appraiser will evaluate the condition of the property.
Okay.
It has to meet certain standards to qualify for that financing.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. And I assume they're pretty good. But the seller, who hires this person? It's not the seller, right?
It's the lender. The appraiser is done for the benefit of the lender.
Right.
And it's probably all tied into the cost of closing costs or whatever else.
Correct.
Well, a lot of the FHA items that need to be repaired before closing. Usually. It's at least I found it to be very rare where an FHA requirement from the appraiser can be done after closing. I think there's probably weather-related situations where that can happen, maybe painting. You'd know more about
like
that than
exterior
I do,
type?
Yeah.
Really not. They rarely will allow FHA repairs after closing.
Yeah.
And is FHA like the really stringent one, or are they all pretty much the same?
Well, FHA, my $35,000 view of it is FHA is basically looking at safety issues. Is there lead-based paint chips on the floor? Is the siding not painted well? Are there no railings? Is HVAC safe? It's mostly that.
Okay.
There's a criteria. There's a class of loans. You call them government-sponsored loans. FHA, VA, USDA have different credit standards that make them more attractive to some buyers, but they have different appraisal standards that have requirements for habitability, really. So if you have a property that's just flat out missing the dishwasher, there's a hole there. You can still buy that house and live there, but they would require that to be installed and not left open like that. Broken glass, damaged steps, handrails, issues like that.
Okay.
And right now I have a conventional loan where I'm representing the buyers, where the sellers are out today putting a railing on their deck. They just didn't have a railing on the deck. They never cared about it. But that's on a conventional loan. But the bank is like, hey, that's got to be fixed before and the appraiser pointed that out.
Yeah, because they're basically what the lender is doing is they're making sure if you default on your loan that I can sell this with ease. They're protecting their investment, which totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, we got about a minute to go. I want to tell you about a new sponsor. So I was talking with Jason Ball last night.
Sweet.
Right?
Lincoln Chamber of Commerce.
From the Chamber. And we were just kind of chatting. He goes, you know what? I really love the show. Love what you guys are doing. And we want to be part of that. And I thought, oh my gosh, Heck yeah.
Nice.
Because the chamber is so important to Lincoln business and what they do. And it's like, I was just sitting there trying to formulate, how do I beg this guy to become a sponsor of our show? And he was like, he's ready to go.
Good deal.
So want to thank the chamber for sponsoring our show. And we'll definitely be getting Jason in here and have a chat about the chamber and what they do and how they help Lincoln businesses. So
awesome.
You're listening to the 402 Business Insider right here on 1499.3 KLIN. We'll be back in just a minute.
Lincoln's entrepreneurs, one conversation at a time. 402 Business Insider on 1499.3 KLIN.
And you're back with Gary Tharnish and Travis Filing on the 402 Business Insider, talking real estate today with Vern Sorensen. Now, one question I had, I know I bounce all over the place, but I was just thinking, going back to when interest rates were so low, were there a lot of builders out there building because interest rates were so low? Or how does it, because I know interest rates have to affect supply. Of course, demand always affects supply. But when do you see builders going crazy and builders not doing anything?
You know, that whole time was the COVID years, which was kind of a frenzy in the real estate market. And builders were seeing such cost increases in materials that it was really a difficult environment for them.
Yeah. Because
they would contract to build a house and get a few months into it and find out they were way underwater in what the materials were going to actually cost them. So
yeah, it went nuts for a while. It was scary.
And so we've seen a little bit of stability in pricing over the past few years, along with stability in interest rates. So that's the main thing that we're seeing now. It was a difficult time for builders in there too.
Yeah.
Well, and also during that COVID time, like we had a realtor at work that was building her personal house, and they needed to move. They had sold their house when it came down to, the time that they've got to move. And it's supply and demand. There were supplies you needed that you could not get because of COVID. And she had to go to all the major hardware stores, Home Depot, all of them, to get doorknobs because it was hard to get doorknobs during COVID. They weren't being shipped, they weren't being manufactured, and it was funny stuff like that. So I don't know that it was necessarily a frenzy in building. I would also say that in 2008, the big bubble burst in real estate, we lost a lot of builders, and they haven't really caught up. I mean, you got more of the decade 2010 to 2020, and then it was like, okay, in the 2020s, we're going to get more builders, it's going to be great, and then COVID hits. So now you've got this dead end again for a while, and, we really need nationally more builders, for sure. And then also, it's just challenging to build. There's always some new something. You can only have a 22-foot curb cut instead of this. I mean, there's always something. I was looking at houses out in Greenwood, and 3-stall garages are big now, right? But they have this just goofy, I guess it'd be a village ordinance or something, where the driveways can only be so wide. So, to pull in and go into what I call the teenager's garage, the one on the left that's small, they have to pull in and curve over. And I'm like, they're going to be backing over the grass all the time.
Yeah.
There's no way they won't. So it's such a combination of so many issues and so many things. Vern always tracks the cost of lumber.
Well, we get, and actually Millard Lumber puts out a cost index of the materials that they supply: lumber, shingles, siding, millwork, cabinets, things like that. And during the summer of 2020, 2021 were some huge spikes in those things. And again, over the last 2 years, really, we've seen some stability and some flattening in that, which is probably the best news you can have.
Prices have definitely come back down.
Well, but they're still not cheap. They're still way above where they were 6 years ago, but at least they're stable, and that helps a lot.
And that's a big word, stable, right? So if I'm helping somebody build a house, or I'm meeting with a builder, he kind of wants to know, this is what it's costing to, what is it going to cost 4 months from now if I need to add, there's a change, we need more wood. Can be huge.
Yeah.
And it makes it easier for builders to get their financing that they need to develop too. There's a little more confidence from their lenders.
Yeah, because you can't just pop in and go, hey, I need an extra $40,000 to finish this, because it doesn't always quite work that way.
I know.
See, when I had bought a building, I think it was in 2018-19, and so I started gutting this thing, which took forever. And then COVID hit. and we were in the same boat. And everybody was going, "Oh man, the price of lumber is going to go through the roof. You better this, you better this, you better this." And I ended up buying a building next door, which was an old, it was a Ford dealership like 100 and some years ago, empty. And I started using that as a staging area, and I almost had my mini Home Depot in there because I had waist-high stacks of OSB plywood, and I had 2x4s, and it saved me. I'll bet you it saved me $40,000 by pre-buying all that stuff and just storing it.
Certainly.
So
smart move.
Yeah, it's one of those that people don't think about how the cause and effect of different events, even hurricanes. I remember building a garage when we were, what was it, Hurricane Andrew, I think, tried to move Florida over to Mexico.
Oh, that's right.
You remember that one?
Yes.
And it's like as soon as it hit, my builder goes, "Okay, you better sign this contract quick because you're fixing to double the cost because lumber is not only going to, it's not that it's going to go up, it's that you're not going to be able to get it because it's all on a truck heading to Florida before too long."
Right.
So, yeah, very crazy stuff. All right. Well, we've got a couple of seconds here. I want to give a quick shout out to you guys, Home Design Real Estate and Transformation Marketing, a couple of our sponsors. And you are listening to the 402 Business Insider. And we will be back for one quick little segment right after this.
Where Nebraska business owners tell their story. 402 Business Insider on 1499.3 KLIN.
And we're back for our last little segment, talking with Vern Sorensen from Home Real Estate. And we are just talking real estate and planning and buying a home. So what advice, just giving to people in general, what advice would you give them when you are looking to buy a home, sell a home, first time, 10th time?
Watch your credit. Be conscious of your credit score, your debt to income ratios, those kinds of things. Talk to a lender early on. Find out what your financing options are. That's going to set your limits and your criteria more than anything in looking to purchase a home or to move up.
Okay. So is now the time to buy? Is now the time to sell? I know there's really no...
Well, yesterday was, but
I missed it today. I missed the opportunity. And tomorrow is the time to buy, right? Because you're showing me a house tomorrow. So
yes,
yeah, it's like that advice on
hazmat shoot.
On planting a tree. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the second best time is tomorrow.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
Very good.
And the other thing is too, a lot of when you pick a real estate agent and meet with them, I always like to meet with my clients and not even talk really real estate for the first 10, 15 minutes. I want to find about them. Tell me about your family. Tell me about recreation. What do you like to do? Tell me about your occupation. Where are you working? What do you do for that? Just so I can get a really good feel of them. And then we kind of go into more of the details because real estate is relational. It is all about that relationship. I will say that first and foremost. Or if you get somebody that says, well, what do you charge? Or what does that place charge? Really what I want to do for all my clients is make sure if they're selling their home, they walk away with the most proceeds possible. And I help them. What does that journey look like? Mm-hmm. When we present your house to the market that day, what do we want that to look like? What can we do there? And then when they're buying, the same type of thing, like we want to look at, nobody wants to pay too much for a house or miss a house, right? That's important. Location, what is the condition of the home, all those things are important. So picking a realtor is very important.
Yeah. And it's funny because the first house that I sold, which was 25 years ago, I thought I was so clever. I found one of these discount people, like it was going to save me 1%. And, 1% on $100,000, that's $1,000 in my pocket, except I didn't realize that, nobody wants to sell this house. Nobody wants to, it was a total nightmare. And 6 months later, I'm like, why isn't anybody buying this house? Well, nobody's showing it because that outfit is kind of a sham, and what a nightmare, Yeah. So you got to learn things the hard way, but that's why we have a radio show.
Yeah,
is because we're teaching you. We went through the hard way.
Yeah, Vern, it was a pleasure having you in this morning. Thanks for coming.
Well, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it too.
Yeah, great. How do people find you? Just homerealestate.com?
Homerealestate.com.
Type in Vern.
We're at 53rd and O Street.
Okay, very good. The Old Villager.
That's
I
right.
forgot about that
there you
place.
go.
My goodness, there's some real estate. All right. Well, thanks for listening. You're listening to the 402 Business Insider, and we'll see you next week with Doug Fitzgerald. Doug's going to come in and talk to us, so that'll be
Awesome.
an interesting one.
That's going to be a good show.
Have a good weekend.